Hello everyone, Tina here. I'm back again to share another card tutorial with you in 5 easy steps. Today we're going to make a floral card. We're going to be using a die set from Spellbinders. It's called the Painted Daisy and Ladybugs die set. And I'm actually going to add a little dimension to these daisies using her kit. But you don't have to have her kit. If you have a stylus, you can use that and some pop-up foam. Just layer a couple pieces of pop-up foam together and use a stylus, and you could do the same thing. Okay, with that being said, we're going to jump in and we're going to start with step number 1, which is our focal point. I'm going to take the piece of foam that's in my kit and then also my stylus, and we're going to do a little bit of die cutting first. So we're going to take 2 pieces of white cardstock. The nice thing about these dies too are on the die itself. I want to curve it so you can kind of see it. It says ×2, so you know to die cut this out twice. So 2 of these, and then this one says ×2 also, so we'll cut this out twice also. So I have 2 pieces of cardstock here. We have this piece here. This says you would want to die cut it out 3 times. And then we have the flower centers. We're going to die cut this out. Okay, so I'll run these through my die cut machine and I'll be right back. Once I have everything die cut out, I only die cut out 2 of these flower center pieces, and I do want to mention that this was the die here, and if you're looking for some star confetti, this is perfect for that. So you could, this will be a dual purpose for some stars, some little star confetti. I love when dies do dual purpose. Okay, let's do a little ink blending on these flowers. We're going to do just minimal. I'm bringing in some Distress Oxide inks. I have tumbled glass. I have spun sugar, and then I have vintage photo. And I'm going to bring in my finger daubers here. And I'm just going to add some color to these flower centers with my spun sugar first. So let's pick up some pink. Let's go with this one here. It's been a minute since I've used my finger daubers. Might as well put them to good use. And I'm not going to go all the way to the edge of my petals. I'm just keeping the focus kind of in the center. And then I'm going to go over the flower center once more. And we're going to add some color kind of fading out. I want to be able to see the blue and the pink. Kind of turned into a gray color, which I don't mind. I think that would be really pretty. Okay, I think that's perfect. And then lastly, I have my vintage photo here. I'm going to add some brown directly to the center. So our flowers are done. I'm going to bring in the leaves next, and since we have vintage photo out, I'm just going to add a little browning to some of the edges of the leaves. And as I'm looking at this, you know what, I think I want a little bit more blue. Okay, so I'm bringing in my tumbled glass, and I'm going to add, with my blending tool, I'm going to add a little blue to a few of the edges of my flower. Now to create the flower, it's pretty easy. What I'm going to do is flip over my daisy, and then we use my stylus, and basically I just do little circle motions behind each one of the leaves. What this does is kind of breaks the fiber of the daisy petals, and it causes them to curl a little bit. You see, it's really easy to do. Oops. Now I just finished up, so now my flowers kind of have a little concave look to them. Okay, now what I'm going to do is take the flowers once more, and we're going to do the same thing but on the front. Now all of my petals are done. Okay, and all we do is take our glue and layer them together. I don't add any dimension to these because of all the layers, but look how gorgeous that is. And it didn't take no time at all to make. I'm going to After we have this done, I am going to curl the edges of my leaves a little bit. Most of it's going to be tucked underneath my flower, so I'm just going to do one end. And I think that will work out perfect. Now for my flower centers, we have all these little stars. Now I'm going to put some stars on my mat here. Just kind of sprinkle them on here. I'm going to use the smaller stylus. And all I'm going to do is push right down the middle. And this is going to curl each one of these little stars. So now they are curled up. Let me show you. You see how they're kind of curled up? Those make great little stamen middles. So all I'm going to do is add some glue here in my flower center. And then, let's see how we're going to pick these up. I'm going to use my wax tool here. And we're going to add a whole bunch of these little flower centers. And that is about how many I'm putting in there. I love the way this looks. And it looks really bulky, but it's really not so bulky. I do want to mention that this is just my interpretation of how to create this flower. I'm sure there's different ways on how to do this, but this is just the way I like to do it, okay? I am going to bring in a black marker. The one that I'm using, I picked up at Spellbinders. It's actually my favorite marker. I've been using it for my Christmas tags to write to and from. It's a really nice marker. And I guess it's from Zebra. But I love this. I've been using it to mark to and from on my tags. And what I'm going to do with this is add just some random dots over those brown stamen, just so they're not all one color, that I have a little bit of variety in color. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in a white gel pen, and we're going to do the same thing. So a little black and white in these flower centers. I think it's going to work out great. That's my flower center. That's my daisy. Okay, we're going to finish the daisy by adding some leaves. And I'm just going to add glue at the bottom. There's two different sizes. So I'm going to overlap the small and the large. And then I'm going to add some of the leaves sticking out. Okay, I always like doing odd number of leaves. Okay, so I just put 5. I may adjust a little later on. That's our focal point, and now we're going to work on step number 2, which is our home panel. For my home panel, I'm bringing in a nested square die set. This one happens to be the Everlasting Squares from Spellbinders. And I'm going to take 2 of them, and I'm going to create a thin frame using some Spellbinders Glacier cardstock. We're going to layer these. And I chose these ones because I knew it would fit my flower for the most part. Okay, so we're going to die cut out a thin frame with Glacier cardstock, which is the pale blue. And then I'm also going to take the largest here, and then I'm going to die cut out a white panel to go behind my frame. So now we have a frame. I did pop it up with some foam tape. I'm going to remove the release paper. Now this step is optional. I just thought we can create like a little box to put. We spent so much time making that flower, and it's so pretty. I thought we would just make a little box for it to sit in. Okay. So I removed the release paper, and I'm going to eventually put it on the white backing. But before I do that, I want a little texture in my background. And so to create the texture, I'm bringing in a background cling stamp from Hero Arts. This one is called Overlapping Hexagon Bold Prints. This is one of those cards that any background you have would work. I thought initially let me show you. Initially I was going to use this text for my background. I just thought that would be so pretty. But when I was looking at it, I thought, well, what does this say? And I thought it was a friendship text, but it says Jingle Bells. So if you have like a friendship text background stamp, you can use that. I think that would be really pretty. But I decided to switch it out for this one, so we don't have jingle bells in our background. I'm going to bring in, since I have vintage photo on my desk, this is the ink that I'm going to use. So hopefully it's going to work, because this ink pad is really dry. I've never, since I've bought it, I think it's like 4 years old, and I've never re-inked it. But I'm just going to add ink to one section. Okay, and then I'm going to take this background. I'm going to lay it right over the top. Then I'll give it a good press. And then we'll just put a pattern on the back of this little panel here. So I did miss this little section, but I think the frame is going to cover it. Isn't that kind of a cool print? Okay, I am going to clean this off. And what we're going to do is take our frame. We're going to layer both of these together. Press that on there. And my home panel is all good to go. You see how it creates kind of like a little box that will work perfectly to nest my flower in. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to just use some glue. And put it right in the center, and then we'll just add this. And I just love the way this looks. Now, of course, this is going to add bulk. You know, if you were to put it in an envelope, it is going to smush it, definitely. Well, let me show you. It will smush, you know, but if you want to hand deliver it, it's super pretty. I just love this. So that's our home panel and our focal point. Now we're going to set this aside, and we're going to work on our next step, which is step number 3, our greeting. For my greeting, I brought in my stamping positioner, just save for that way for me. And then I have my card base. It's a top folding A2 size card base. I put it in the corner here of my stamping positioner. And then I have a stamp set from Spellbinders. It's called All Seasons Sentiments. And a lot of greetings in here that go with seasons. And for me, this could be a spring card, I guess you could say. But it was either pick of the patch or New Beginnings. And I think we're going to stamp New Beginnings. I'm going to take my greeting, and then using my home panel as a guide, I'm going to position it where I want my home panel to go, and eventually it's going to go in the upper portion. So I want to make sure that the left and right are even and the top's even. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp New Beginnings, center it, give it a good powder, and then I'm going to use, and then I'm bringing in my Simon Says Stamp VersaFine Clear Nocturne ink. You can heat emboss with this, and I'm going to ink up my greeting that says New Beginnings. I'm going to stamp it here. And then I have some clear embossing powder. We're going to go over our greeting with clear. Give it a tap. And then I'll melt this. And that will be my greeting for my card today. Okay, now we're going to move along to step number 4, which is our background. And to create our background, I'm going to bring back the stamp, and we're doing tone on tone. I want a little gloss or shine in my background. And so tone on white, we're going to use clear embossing powder. I'm going to mask off this section here. Okay. And I'm going to go over. Since we used Distress Oxide ink, you want to make sure you clean that brown, that vintage photo off your background stamp really well. You can always tell if you look at your pad and you don't have no ink on there. So I added Versamark all over the back of my stamp here, and then I masked off with some Post-it note tape the top portion of my card base. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to go directly over my greeting here. Okay, and we're going to add this. I have a brayer that I like to use. Okay, give that a good press. We're going to lift up. And it looks like I have great coverage. It's kind of hard to see. But now I'm going to bring back my clear embossing powder. And I'm going to go over my background. Okay, I'm going to remove my mask here. And you can always reuse this, so you can put this back on the roll. I'm going to use my heat gun and we'll melt this now. Lovely. And it heated right over our greeting. You can see here we have that nice shine, that tone on tone, and it didn't affect our greeting. Now we're going to add our focal point. I put adhesive behind here. This is going to go back in its home right in the center here. We'll give it a good press. I actually pressed it down pretty good. I'm going to show you. You see? So it still looks dimensional. Okay, now we're going to move along to our final step, which is step number 5. It's time to embellish. We're going to embellish with some Spellbinders Spectrum AB gems. These are really pretty, and I don't want to take away from my flower, so I'm just going to add probably 5 gems. And then lastly, I'm going to put my card inside my spray box, and I'm going to add a little shimmer. I'm just going to go really lightly, because if you dampen your flower petals too much, it just takes away all that work that you did with the curling. It'll just flatten it. I'm using my Shears Shimmer Sparkle Spritz. I'm going to shake it up really good. It's been a minute since I used this. Okay. And then I'm going to do one spray right over the center, making that flower a little sparkly. And I'm just loving the way this looks. The sparkle went on the white of my daisy. It went on the leaves. It went on my frame, which is really pretty. But it also went on my embossed background. On the white areas, we have a little sparkle there too. So it turned out really elegant and really pretty. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a fabulous day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end. I have 2 more videos that you guys might be interested here. If you guys are new and like the content that you see, click that subscribe button and also the notification bell. That way for future videos, be notified. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It sure does help the channel. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.